Good morning, everyone. It is truly an honor to stand over here today for training our flagship 3-day event. Over the past few months, we have been privileged to witness 10 insightful conferences, each contributing valuable perspectives on various aspects of business, leadership, and innovation. Today, as we gather for the 10th and final conference, I am especially excited to introduce Socrates, the consulting and strategy club of IIFT Delhi. For this year's national summit, the theme is building resilient economies through digital transformation. In today's rapidly changing world, digital transformation is not just about adopting new technology, it is also about creating adaptable and sustainable systems that can weather disruptions and drive long-term growth. With that, I would now like to invite our senior and junior club coordinators to take the stage and guide us through the rest of today's program. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you all to the National Leadership Summit, part of Resilient 2024, IIFT Delhi's flagship business conference. Today's summit brings together distinguished leaders to discuss the timely and crucial theme of building resilient economies through digital transformation. In today's world, digital transformation isn't just an option, it's a necessity. It's reshaping how businesses operate, making them more agile, innovative, and resilient in the face of global challenges. Whether it's leveraging AI, adopting cutting-edge cloud solutions, or driving sustainable growth through technology, digital tools are the backbone of economic resilience. Our panel today is composed of thought leaders who have not only witnessed this shift but have been the driving force behind it. Their experiences in leading digital transformations will provide us with powerful insights into how economies can thrive in this new era. We are honored to have an exceptional lineup of panelists who will share their unique perspectives and experiences. Let me introduce our first speaker for the evening. It is my privilege to introduce Ms. Preeti Khattri, Managing Director of Strategy and Consulting at Accenture. With a remarkable career spanning transformation projects for Fortune 500 companies, Ms. Khattri has been a driving force behind Accenture's success in areas like cloud computation, cybersecurity, and global change communications. Her leadership of Accenture's global change communications center of excellence has earned the company around 70 international awards, including prestigious honors such as the Gartner Change Communicators Award and IABC Gold Quill Awards. Ms. Khatri's expertise is not only in digital transformation but also in steering organizations through complex business challenges, making her an inspiring leader. She holds a Master of Business Administration degree in marketing from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies and a Bachelor of Fine Arts, showcasing her diverse educational background. We are thrilled to have you, ma'am, with us today, and I am certain your insights on digital resilience through digital transformation will be invaluable to all of us. Please join us on stage. Ma'am, we request you to accept this bouquet as your program of felicitation. Next up, we have Mr. Nitin Nandrajog, partner in consulting at KPMG and a proud alumnus of the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, where he completed his MBA in international business. Mr. Nandrajog has over 15 years of experience in driving large-scale transformations and innovation strategies across multiple sectors. At KPMG, he has been at the forefront of AI-driven consulting solutions, technology leadership, and strategic project management, leading a global team of more than 1,500 professionals. Under his leadership, KPMG has cemented its position as a global leader in AI-enabled solutions. Mr. Nandrajog's academic accomplishments include a postgraduate certificate in technology leadership and innovation from MIT, a specialization in cloud computing from Great Lakes Institute of Management, and advanced management programs from Indian School of Business and IIM-Bangalore. His blend of technical expertise and strategic leadership has positioned him as a visionary in digital transformation space. We are incredibly fortunate to have you here with us and eagerly anticipate the wealth of knowledge he will share on how technology can build resilient and future-proof economies. We would like to welcome you on stage, sir. So please accept the program presentation.
Thank you, Shreyas, for those insightful introductions. Now, it is my privilege to introduce our next set of esteemed speakers who bring a wealth of experience in strategy consulting and digital transformation. Our next distinguished speaker is Mr. Sayantan Chatterjee, Executive Director at PwC India. Mr. Chatterjee has played a pivotal role in leading PwC's strategy consulting initiatives with a focus on digital transformation and innovation. Throughout his career, spanning leadership roles at PwC, KPMG, and IBM, he has consistently driven transformative solutions that integrate technology, people, and processes to fuel business growth. Mr. Chatterjee is an alumnus of IIFT Delhi, where he earned his MBA in marketing and systems, and has further honed his skills through executive programs at IIM-Bangalore, the University of California, Berkeley, the Indian School of Business. His unique ability to blend business strategy with cutting-edge technology makes him a visionary leader in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape. We are honored to have Mr. Chatterjee with us, and we look forward to the insights he will share with us on building resilient economies through digital transformation. We would like you, sir, to please join us on stage. As a symbol of appreciation, we kindly present this bouquet in anticipation for your inspiring contributions to this time. It is also my pleasure to introduce our esteemed moderator for today's discussion, Mr. Ayush Rungta. With over 9 years of consulting experience, primarily in the retail and consumer product sector, Mr. Rungta has led strategic solutions that have delivered transformative business growth. His expertise in data analytics and decision sciences, developed during his time at Mu Sigma, complements his extensive consulting experience. Mr. Rungta holds an MBA from IIM-Bangalore and a Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Science from Manipal Institute of Technology. He has been actively involved in organizing leadership summits and major events during his academic journey. And today, we look forward to the dynamic discussions he will lead as a moderator. I would like, sir, to please join us on stage. So please accept this bouquet as a sign of a sincere thanks in advance for the knowledge you are about to impart to this. Now, before we begin with the discussion, I would like to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor for our leadership summit, Snackpure by Zuari Food. Snackpure offers a premium range of dry fruits and nuts, and Zuari as a brand has been serving the community since 1967. From farm to table, they have a mission to provide us with the finest quality of products at our doorstep. Snackpure has got you covered with a delightful selection of healthy snacking options that are impossible to resist. You can shop for the products on Amazon and on their website www.zuarifoods.com. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Hello. Good evening. I would prefer Ayush, and maybe we can, you guys can call us by our names instead of sir and ma'am. Usually in B school, we see so much attendance when things are made compulsory or you get credits. So I am hoping it's one of those things. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to gather so much audience for any B school event. But nice, I have been told that this is a 3-day conclave that you guys have, and this is probably one of the last sessions. You are not tired and will not bore you much. We'll talk about something interesting happening in the technology and digital space, which will help you figure out career for yourself and see where you want to learn or do more about as you move ahead in your career. So with that, we'll get started. I'll first give some context about myself and then I'll move across the table to talk each of the panelists more about themselves. Professionally, I think the team did a great job with respect to the introductions, but on the personal side, um, when you make decisions as part of being on the college, not necessarily you are always making a decision. So if you start from school time, generally if someone is like doing code, you end up taking science versus commerce. Then you probably prefer engineering degree because you think that is something that most of the people in India are doing. And then after you complete engineering, then you decide what you want to do in life. So that has been the journey for me. Got decent tips, took science, got decent engineering school, got computer science, so took that. After taking the completing my engineering, thought okay, let's think about MBA, but not right now. And I'm a Marwadi family, so all my parents from both like dad side and mom side are all into business. So always wanted to do something around business. After engineering, got a software developer job at Honeywell, was writing codes for their next generation flight management system. But thought, okay, this is good. I am doing well. But how does it link to what I want to like, which is business at that point in time? So got a job offer from New Sigma. They told, okay, we'll be doing some business analytics, solving business problems. Back then it was a very cool thing and thought, okay, let's try it. We'll solve some business problems. So left my job at Honeywell and joined New Sigma, even though New Sigma was paying lower. But thought, okay, let's explore it. Had a nice run. Thanks to that experience, helped me crack interview at IIM-Bangalore. 2 years of campus journey, and I realized from the professors, and in IIM-Bangalore that time, everyone has to write SOP. So the stats at that point was percent of students who got admitted had written entrepreneurship, and they had convinced the panelists that they would pursue entrepreneurship after completing the degree, which obviously never happens in India. Everyone goes for a job. So the joke was that any B school they try to get different perspective, different thought leaders as an admission to their B school, but everyone goes out with the same intention of just earning money. And so was the case there. I wanted to do e-commerce because again, digital e-commerce business I generally like. But then e-commerce companies come on second day, and consulting companies came on the first day. So could not take a lot of risk in life waiting for the second day. Got a job offer from a management consultant, went there, and have been enjoying my journey since. At least I am able to do and solve problems what I've always wanted, and I'm enjoying my time. So yeah, that's on the context of my professional side. Personally, I'm an adventure sports enthusiast. Have done a lot of trekking activities, scuba diving, skydiving. I love to travel. I have traveled to 22 states in India and 26 countries outside of India. And yeah, that's more on the personal side. COVID somehow helped with respect to picking new hobbies. I play a lot of board games now, especially Catan. So whenever I get time outside of Netflix, Prime, job, household chores, I play a lot of board games. So that's on the personal side and my journey. I would pass on to Preeti to talk more about this. Okay. Nitin, you want to go next? Okay, I will take turns. So this time we'll go anti-clockwise, next time we'll go probably clockwise. So Nitin.
This is the tough part. When you open the mic, right, it's like sometimes it doesn't work. Murphy's law. Okay, great. Thanks, Ayush. Great story. I probably, in terms of, I think you have done a great job in terms of introducing me as well as the other panelists, and also there's a big screen. And I think it talks a lot about those things. And there's a joke in consulting: if you write too much on your CV, that means you are not doing anything, right? So, I think I will just want to correct that. I've been an IIFT alumni, so good to be back. Nostalgia definitely is there. Particularly, I forgot the route to come to the campus. I was looking for, at our time, there was Professor Ravi Shankar. He's still around? Or? Okay. So he used to say, our landmark is Samne Ram Ram and Piche Sita Ram, right? So That was our landmark. I think the hospital is still around, right? Yeah. Okay. So obviously it is embarrassing to ask where is IIFT, but I think it's and whose was another landmark, but I heard that he's no longer there, right? But yes, good memories. My journey started in 2005. Just like Ayush, I also had a very different kind of a motivation to be in IIFT. My biggest motivation was to stay in Delhi, and I did my engineering from BC. So that was a tick in the box to stay in Delhi, and then there were only two campuses, FMS and IIFT. Unfortunately, I didn't make to FMS, but fortunately, I made it to IIFT. So I'm glad, and when I look back, I'm proud that I got admission in IIFT, and it has been a wonderful journey since then. Fun fact: my first um, kind of a public speech in IIFT happened in this auditorium, and we won that competition. That was the marketing. Dr. Pinaki Das was the head of marketing at that time in IIFT, and he was one of our mentors. And we presented a company called Foodie Snacks. So it is good to know that Snack Pure is the sponsor for today's event. It's again a connect that we won our first prize, my first prize in IIFT for a snack company, Foodie Snack. There's another fun fact, but I will leave it up to Sayantan. We both are batchmates, but I think he will have something to share. I don't want to steal the thunder. Thank you. Good to be back.
Sayantan, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's absolutely nostalgic. So, as Nitin mentioned, both of us were batchmates. Obviously, keep the banter around. Just about myself, I can absolutely visualize sitting right at there. I think the end rows were obviously conspicuous. But about me, I would say, in terms of a journey, has been in consulting for almost 19 years. Started my first job way back 2005 with HP, campus placement. I remember getting placed right in the next room and the euphoria that happened. I'm sure every one of you will have that. Then multiple stints in IBM, KPMG, now with PwC. And now I know, in fact, if I think I was telling few of you, like the year when we passed out on, you have, I don't know if some of you would have been in school and kindergarten and all. But coming back to it, I think what's life has taught me before I pass on is like, it's really a culmination of all the experiences, all the things, like small things I was talking about, the after parties, the fun thing about the campuses. So all these are real experiences, right? It's like literally a flashback that's coming in and I'm speaking to all of you. And as we go through the session, I'll try to speak more from my experience rather than just like quote unquote gyan. Although we are paid as consultants, we are paid for gyan. So I will try not to be that paid person today, at least on Sunday, and try to be as engaging as possible, as fun as I can. I'm not saying I am. I have a lot of fun goals in me. And let's see if we can engage. Thank you. Over to you, Preeti.
Does it work? How many of you feel you're black sheep? No? Outsiders don't fit in. Anyone? Okay. So I have always been an outsider. I think that's the best way to introduce myself. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because whenever I come to colleges, I always fear that we always try to put people in a box. And you all are in this box, which is this beautiful two-piece suit with the tie, and everybody being asked to speak a certain way, be a certain person, so that the consulting firms can pick you up and life can start. Isn't that it? All of you aspire. अच्छी salary मिलेगी, अच्छी girlfriend भी मिलेगी. Life will be set. कार खरीदूंगा, घर खरीदूंगा, maybe travel the world, whatever that is. So that's the package. So the reason I wanted to emphasize on being a black sheep is because there is a space for people who don't fit in to fit in, and embrace it. It's what makes all of us beautiful. When I was in school and I come from an army background, anybody here army? Kind of army, yeah. Community, yeah, army brats, fabulous. So, we traveled every 2 years, and that was pretty much the life. Fitting in, we know what that is, isn't it? All army brats, give me a Yahoo! Yahoo! Fitting is an issue when we fit in. And Finally, I don't know how, I don't think I'm super intelligent, but I was in something called ability section in the Army Public School in Delhi. And I remember all this, I was in a batch of 50 and all these kids, some of you, those kids, but no offense, were these really, those who used to get 99.9%. And I just wonder how the hell did they miss 0.01. So I was the kid who would get 58.6 or something, and I was struggling to fit in. But I discovered I was really good at creativity, fine arts, and that's why I joined fine arts, and there I discovered it was the other extreme. They could barely, communicate on many topics, and their thinking was very different. It was a very different world. But what it did was it opened up the world in two different directions for me. I'd seen the dark side of being in competitive places and really feeling completely like, oh my god, am I that? I suck because everybody else is so good. And then I was on the other extreme where I felt I was the boss because everybody else sucked. So I think what the point I wanted to make today is somehow my journey started there, but I'm here today. And the reason I like to come back to colleges, and this is my second year now in IIFT, and thank you so much for bringing me here, is to tell all of you that you will fit in, and that's the most important message. You'll fit in into your world, not the world that the world asks you to fit in. And always remember that, and you'll make a beautiful career. So just focus on what you enjoy doing, what your strengths are, and that'll make you a good life. And I thought that would be a better introduction to tell you. Other than that, I also box, so don't give me a hard time because I could box the hell out of you. I think that's about it. It's really nice to be here, and let's make it fun. So all the people who feel they're misfits, don't feel outsiders, do also open up and talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as you realize, we have different experiences, different backgrounds. It would be a good mix of panel that we will have for this discussion. Okay, let's talk about the topic. Great Reset. It's not a new topic. We have been hearing about Great Reset for so long. I'll take two recent examples. There was a book that was written after the recession in 2008-2009, talking about the Great Reset and what will happen to the economy. Again, after the global pandemic, the World Economic Forum picked it up. They made for their 2021 annual summit in Switzerland, the topic or theme of that summit was Great Reset. But unfortunately, that event has to be cancelled because we could not recover from the global pandemic by 2021. So Great Reset is it's more of a broad term where if anything that big happens across the world which impacts or disrupts the status quo, there is a Great Reset that happens. And the beauty of this Great Reset in 2020 or post 2020 is the impact of digital, which we will cover in detail today. And the impact is, again, digital is not a new topic. It has been there for so long. If I have to again take few recent examples, when the internet came in 1990s, everything that was on paper, manual, where thought, okay, now everything is moving digital, everything will get disrupted. But then in 2000, tech bubble happened, tech burst happened, then again there was a financial crisis. Again, people thought, okay, is digital safe? Maybe not. Again, look, after global pandemic, we are again thinking about digital. So has the definition of digital changed? Maybe not. We will explore today. And how important is digital going forward and for the 21st century? Also something we'll try to answer. From my perspective, digital has always been there, but the new definition or new era of digital would be what you can make use of the data that is available to people. So I think the CEO of HP Enterprise called digital as the age of insights. So what can you do with data? And coming from the consumer industry world, if I am selling you something, if I am giving you any kind of promotions, if you are buying something online, the kind of recommendations you are getting, if you are watching any web series, everything is digital. Every kind of recommendations you are getting is digital. We are moving from e-commerce, we are moving to quick commerce. From quick commerce, there is a new trend of live commerce. So things are moving digital. Things are being sold as part of being digital. But not everything will move to digital, and there are some consequences around digital as well, which is your data privacy and a lot of cyber security threats that we are witnessing. So we'll layer each of these things today one by one. But I would again go to the panel and get their perspective of how big digital is and what is the difference between growth and digital growth. How are these two different, and what you foresee going forward in the near term and in the long term? So maybe with this time I'll start with you.
Okay. So, how many of you use ChatGPT? So I was here 1 year ago and I asked the same question, and that's why I don't know, I wish we could go before or after, but I asked the same question last year, and I remember that somebody was from Microsoft, and that time Copilot was about to be launched, or I think, yeah, they were in the process of launching it, and nobody had heard it at that point in time. So, and I asked ChatGPT, and I think only a few people raised their hand. So that's the change, right? 1 year, all of you are using it as part of your lifestyle. That's the kind, and I just extrapolate that into the workforce in general in the world, at least on the side where technology is more adapted, into organizations, maybe media, technology, and others. Firms like that, it is real. A lot of change is coming. And there is also a geopolitical change, right? All of you read news, whatever idea, say nothing, okay. Ukraine, Israel, everyone? Okay. So there is a whole play of supply chain that has been disrupted. Everyone agrees? Yes. Okay. What's the big thing coming up in November? Global.
Elections.
Very good. All of you are aware, right? And how does that impact us? It impacts us? How? Anyone? How does it impact us? Us means, okay, us is the wrong word. How does it impact world organizations? Sorry? Policy changes, okay, and? Sorry? Globalization? De-globalization. Okay, polarization and territorial unity. Okay. What else? Trade, yes. Everyone's talking about Southeast Asia, yes. Okay, so these things are real, right? They impact organizations. And therefore, today, more than ever before, all organizations in the world, there are many more people, are thinking about how do they, have new growth. There's also disruption with global players, isn't there? I mean, ChatGPT came up when? November 16? Was it November 16? 22, okay, 16, 22, and then what is it today? And you're already like giving everyone help, isn't it? Yeah, and then there are many more players. So this is real. And what is happening is in organizations, this disruption is catching up. Now, is generative AI real in firms today? What do you all think? No, who's saying yes? I want those people to raise their hands. Who's okay? Let's just do a divide. How many people think Gen AI is real and already a part of corporate organizations? Big, let's say Fortune 500 firms today. Okay, I'm not talking Amazon. Okay. Yes, how many know? See, this is great. Let's not be reluctant. It's confidence. Okay. And the rest of you feel the organizations haven't adapted yet, isn't it? Okay. The ones who feel yes, the ones who raise their hand, why do you think it's already a part of their lifestyle? And it's not Amazon. Let's take an example. Okay, let's take a global firm like, give me a name. Anybody wants to take a name? Maybe Shell. Sorry? No. I'm saying, no, I'm talking about industrial firm. So let's say Shell. Everyone heard of Shell? Yes. Okay. Do you think they have adapted Gen AI across the world? So all of these people said yes, yes.
Not about the world culture, but at least in the organization we do adopt AI because people they them on main tasks are to do and they are handling over to the AI.
They're done. सबका हो गया अब बढ़वा
Not 100% of that.
Okay, you think they ended of the journey, they started the journey, they're still lost in, they're still figuring out what to do. They are already, how do you think all these resources firms, and, maybe I'm just saying resources because you like that's old school, are on the journey of GenAI already. They already implemented many things and they started. How many? No, what happened to those who raised their hands? Now. Okay, so that's the fact. They are not ahead of the journey. They're still in the early stage of figuring out what to do because the disruption is massive. Now the beauty is you can't think of GenAI in exclusiveness, right? Like you can't say maybe a process there, actually convert to right? It's very complex. So organizations are starting to think of enterprise reinventions. Heard of this term? Okay. What that basically means, and I'm trying to talk in very detailed language, is all organizations are trying to think, okay, so I did business a certain way, I had a process a certain way. Automation was stage one, meaning I used to do it a certain way, now I do it faster by automating it. Now automation doesn't cut it anymore. What they're thinking is, can I change the way I relook at my entire way of doing business? Part of it can be done by GenAI, generative AI, part of it can be done through analytics, part of it can be the whole data story, and then I need to upskill my people to reinvent the whole process to therefore help me with productivity and benefits. That reinvention is a major part of what we call the digital transformation today. And in our world, we call it total enterprise reinvention. You can give it any other fancy name, but technically that's what it is. Yeah. So that is an area which is, I think, we are seeing to give us just with generative AI, maybe 11.3 trillion or so revenue in just this by 2038 or 2039. That's a massive amount of money that organizations feel they can achieve. So this is one thought. Now the unofficial thought, maybe not a reflection. I do feel many organizations will struggle and will not adapt, and there is a high likelihood that many organizations will wait for others. They'll be the what do we call them? Fence sitters. They'll wait for others to try, they'll see them fail, and then wait till then and then try and adapt. There are two risks in that. What is the risk when you wait? Anyone waited? Waiting team, sabhi karte honge. What happens when you wait? You lose the girl. Yes? That's correct. So there's an opportunity cost, but there is also an advantage. You realize उसके साथ लड़की को ये पसंद नहीं आया, अब की बार किससे करते हैं? And ये style काम करता है. So both strategies work, but what is going to happen in the next few years is a massive amount of reinvention that will happen across the world. I think that's an interesting time. All of you should do research a lot on what's happening, the greatest, the banks of the world, see what they're doing, see what different industries are doing, how they're adapting to it, who's ahead of the curve, who's not, and so on and so forth. So I think that's an interesting topic to look at. Many of you read out about this, about GenAI in general. Okay, who thinks GenAI is like metaverse or that's one of those things that we speak about and it never happens? None. So all of you believe it's here to stay. The question is how much, isn't it? Yeah.
I do have a counter question, but I'll let others complete their thought on digital growth, and then I will probably ask that.
You can go on actually. Like,
Maybe that counter question can apply to all three of you. So I first ask you to explain what you understand by digital growth, and as Preeti said, it is more to do with Gen AI, which is kind of true in one aspect, but anything more that you would want to add or explain, probably add more on Gen AI itself. So your perspective on digital growth.
Yeah. I think I will. I always believe just take a step back. What's the worst digital mean to all of you? And how many of you are engineers? At my time, the batch was really bad. I accept that. So what's digital? What does the word digital mean? There's a reason I asked the previous question. That's it. What does the word digital mean? Anyone? Anyone who has read this, any engineer, modest man, or I can still date it, right? Any, just like What's digital? It was like someone said it is some wacky student actually, not this campus, said it's a combination of zeros and ones. Is that right, wrong? Absolutely right. But from a business point of view, what does that mean? Because tech has been there for ages, right? I think so. Ayush was mentioning about the www, the internet, the technology before, the mainframes. So what is really digital point of view? Is it something which is new that has cropped up? I'm still not come to Gen AI. I'm still not come to a blockchain or metaverse. I'm not about digital. So if you think about digital, is it something which is fundamentally different or is it something which is like a old wine in new bottle, consultants like us who have branded it well and made us as the digital transformation? First of all, the word transformation is the most abused word. I at least feel. The second one is the word value. So what is digital transformation or what does digital mean first of all? Any simple take apart from the zero and one, not that wacky answer. So and from business point of view, obviously, because we are sitting in a business school. Anyone wants to take a take? Obviously, okay. Operation, automation, anyone else? Yeah.
It decreases human intervention.
Perfect. Human intervention, human errors, automation. Anyone else? So what are you doing? What are the answers telling? So when we are using technology, let me use simple technology, IT, someone used to say cyber, right? When we are using that for a business enablement is what we are called as a digital enablement. I'm not calling it transformation. So that is as simple as the word. Because see, as consultants, and I'm sure all of you would be budding consultants, or at least some of you would be. So when I'm using technology, which is that we, and obviously technology evolves. You look at any hype curve or any maturity, technology has and will evolve. But at any point in time, whatever technology is there, and I'm taking almost a 0 to 18 months horizon because I can't predict what is 24 months going to be. Whenever using the technology at that point in time, or maybe 6 months to 1 year in advance and all, for my business enablement, we're doing four fundamental things. You mentioned one. First of all, is revenue enhancement because every corporate, apart from the charitable ones, exists for profit or revenue growth or growth. Second is efficiency. Someone mentioned about that, automation. Third is the word about experience. We talked about it, I will talk about e-commerce. What's so wow about commerce? Because it changed or really busted their entire experience. And what was at the heart of that experience? Was tech slash digital. And the fourth is the compliance thing. So if you think about it, all these four aspects in business are mostly digitally enabled. I'm using the word mostly because it's not that the cart is not in front of the horse. The digital enables the business on all these four accounts. Reflect and you will get the answer is always the case. So what is happening new is where organizations are either feeling constrained or as Preeti mentioned, sitting on the fence trying to see that hey, what are others doing? Or taking the lead. See, what did a Flipkart, and I'll always take a Flipkart before an Amazon because I'm always proud as an Indian. What did they do? They used not the enablement by digital slash tech, but they made tech as a business itself. Think about it. Or what did, if I go outside, what did Ola do? Right? Or what did Closer Oyo do? They made tech as a key business. That is where the real disruption happened. And I'm now getting some words, disruption. Where organizations who were the fundamentals, like the Sheriffs, for example, they are behemoths I'm talking about. What realized is like they were doing business in a current way. But what they realized, or what sometimes they did not realize, there were some of these so-called newbies, startups, whiz kids, who use tech as the disruptor. And there's so many examples. I can go on, and I'm sure all of you would like. So that was one aspect. The second aspect, which I can always reiterate, is what digital made every organization realize is that the word customer and the experience is at the forefront of it. reflect. Have all of you have booked a ticket on railways? Have you tried? I know all of you are not old enough to have stood in the line, but how is the experience of booking a ticket on IRCTC now? Or how is it still now? Bad, neutral, average, below average, vis-a-vis somewhere else. They can still go on their monopoly. Think about it any other side. Where the tech is not good, the experience is not good, reflect the other aspect for it. The tech nowadays is forcing every organization to be lean and focused. So when you mention automation, what are organizations looking at? That I will focus on the core business. And how does tech enable me? I'm not talking about any specific, you would have not heard me talk about any specific technology or tool. So what is tech or digital doing is making organizations more lean and focused. Not that they were not there, but that's what they are really turning on. And the last aspect is they are opening new avenues and models for them to do business. Think about it, with the 1.4 billion, and I'll talk a lot about India because that's where, and I'm hard, sorry, no political appeal. That's where the real enabler is happening. Because digital, if you look at it, is one of the biggest levelers. We cannot, in fact, what did mobile do? It really leapfrogged one generation. And if you know that one trend that we have more mobile connections in India than even voter cards. So what does it tell? Is it good or bad? You must say it's bad, yeah, people don't vote. But it tells me there's an avenue to reach. So there is an avenue to reach for social benefits. There's an avenue to basically help them buy, help them be financially independent, so on and so forth. So that's the other aspect. So all these aspects, I'm just leaving them as thoughts. When you talk about digital enabled transformation, think about what it actually is doing and the real impact it's having. And I'm sure at least there are a few of you, if not quite a few, not like 60% as Ayush mentioned as entrepreneurs, would take this plunge of using digital as one of the disruptors and being the disruptor, I'd say. That's the initial thought before I pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Nitin, as we move to you, I know Sayantan gave a lot of perspective from India and Preeti talked about Gen AI. You also do a lot of work around the global clients. So, any perspective on digital as you see from a global perspective?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so I think it was interesting to hear both Preeti and Sayantan, and I think it was difficult to choose between this side and because yeah. So first of all, caveat: these are my personal views, not to be attributed to KPMG or my organization. Yeah, so I think I will first of all get to the theme of today's topic. I think this is like resilient economies through digital transformation, right? And as Sayantan was pointing out, digital transformation, both words, if you combine, then you can actually ask if there are 100 people in this auditorium, if I give you a piece of paper each, you will come out with different meanings because it's a very broad term and means different things to different people, right? Even I mean, most of the sponsors you have out there, it might mean different for each of the industry, for each of the client, right? So let's understand what do we understand first of all resilient economies. What's happening, right? So let me take you to a decade back, right? In terms of 10 years back and now, what are the things happening in the world? First of all, the number of conflicts, right? We have been discussing about, you mentioned Ukraine, right? We all know what is happening, Israel. But do you know 2023 had the highest number of recorded conflicts, 59, including civil wars in Africa, Sudan, everywhere, as well as most of these major wars, right? So that's something to take record. And there were only 4 years in the last about 50 years where the number of conflicts exceeded 50 recorded conflicts. And no cases, these were like 21, 22, 23, 3 of those years. Right, so you can imagine the things after pandemic is not the only thing which is changing after 2020, right? So second is definitely, who would have heard about COVID in 2019, right? Though it's called COVID-19, but right? No relevance in 2019, right? And post 2020, there is still the world is still bracing for maybe there will be another pandemic, right? How do we prepare for it? That's the second kind of a global disruptor. Right now, we are talking about the US elections, right? But where is US heading towards as an economy? You guys, any guesses? Is it, it's a developed economy, you all know, but financially, do you think what's the stability of US? You are international business guys. Any guesses? If you were a credit rating company, so what you would have rated US as a credit rating organization? What rating you would have given? Let's say ABC. Okay, yeah, that I think, yeah, because obviously that's a fear of the US, but obviously if we take that out, then it's, if it was a organization running with such amount of debt, growing over year, imagine an organization which can take as much debt as possible and then can increase the debt ceiling and then can manipulate the interest rate. Will you work with that organization? Or will you have a doubt about having the debt rating of a very low debt rating because of the financial stability, right? So nothing against the US. I think definitely is the USD is still the dominant currency, and obviously the governments do play macroeconomics. So it's also a macroeconomic issue. But the reality is that the debt is all-time high and it's increasing, and no government inside will be able to resolve it over the next few years, right? What about the global temperatures? So in the last 10 years, we have seen the highest increase in the number of in the degree rise of the temperature. Any guesses where we are right now? I mean the global temperature rise. What's the, yeah, closer, but yeah, still. So we are probably 1.1 degree, right? The moment it reaches 1.5, 30% of the species will extinct. We don't know which species, obviously that will percolate, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't see that in our lifetimes. But we are moving towards from 1.1 to 1.5. If we go towards that direction, then we are actually talking about extinctions of species, reality. And the other thing, like the climate changes, the frequency and the intensity of all the weather events which are happening, you are already seeing those across the globe. It's not only limited to one area or the other. Obviously, because of the geographical locations, some regions tend to be on a slippery and a slippery state, but it's going to impact globally, right? So if you look at it, it's not a doomsday scenario, but as an economy, India, whether you take India, whether the global economies, I think right now we have to talk about global economies. We can't just focus only on India. We have to think about, with all these global events, global disruptions, what is actually our solution to that, right? And I think I come from a very optimistic technology school of thought. So I do feel. And anybody heard Eric Skill's interview, the band interview now on YouTube? Okay, no. So there was a question, and I referred to Preeti about the generative AI. There was a lot of debate about generative AI, but again, as a proponent of generative AI. So there was a question to Eric that you all know that generative AI is based upon a lot of compute, right? A lot of compute means a lot of data centers. Lot of data center means lot of energy, right? And lot of energy means lot of carbon. Lot of carbon means that we are moving from 1.1 to 1.5 degrees, right? So there is an ESG impact, there is a global climate impact. So the more we invest in Gen AI, the more we invest into compute, we are going to get into more closer to maybe disrupting the climates, right? And this is the reason, if you go and look out, most of the Gen AI companies now are investing into nuclear energy. So they are buying data centers near the nuclear power plants, and they are willing to invest. They are actually lobbying with the government to allow them to run the nuclear power plant because they have to fuel the data center. And AI can't grow till the time the compute can't grow. Compute has to grow, the data has to grow, and this is where I will link it to the digital part of it. In order for AI to grow, right? It will not grow. But then there is a dilemma, and to one of the press conferences when Eric was doing this press conference, he's the ex-CEO of Google. Um, Somebody asked that, are you going to invest into AI with so much humongous investment? Sam Altman is already stating that he needs $1 trillion of investment for OpenAI, right? He's already got billions, now he's talking about trillions, right? Why? Because everybody knows compute is the new oil, along with data, right? But Eric's question was that, okay, with so much investment, we know that we are actually putting the pressure in terms of our climate. Where do we go? Is there a balance of power where we should go with this investment to solve for AI, or we should focus upon and bring in the balance and not disturb our climate? Let's stop it here. Let's not go for further investment in terms of, because there are talks about that it can lead to grid failures in the US if these companies continue to grow, and that's the reason they are looking at Canada and Mexico now to have these plants, and obviously geographically they are spreading their country. So Eric's response was, see, our bet is who can solve the climate problem for us? Any guesses? So in a way, if we can't solve, if the humanity is failing, and we are failing, as we are not being able to even honor the commitments we made in the Paris Convention, right? And obviously, some of these companies who are responsible for AI, they are committed to a carbon reduction, and they are not being able to achieve because they have to invest in, and they are buying credits and all. So it's like a balance sheet, right? You buy credits, but you are free to then increase more credits in your organization. This is more of a accounting problem they are trying to solve, and it's not a real problem they are trying to solve. Real problem is that you have to actually reduce carbon from the environment. You have to make sure that our global warming do not reach to those levels, which can lead to extinctions and all. Right. So Eric said that our best bet is invest into a technology which can solve it for us. And this is the reason that for all those 4 global disruptions we have been talking about, digital transformation, technology back, and I will refer to Sayantan when he explained the terminology of digital transformation. I am the same school of thought that we have to use and look at tech as an enabler, as an empowering thing which can help us resolve some of these. Data, that is where I would say anything to do with digitalization. What are we digitalizing? If you go any kind of process, any kind of a business, right from the internet to ERP systems to cloud and now GenAI, what is the one thing which we are consistently being used? It's data, information. That is what is getting digitalized. It's not humans who are getting digitalized. Maybe in the future we might see humanoids, but again the humanoids will be working at the back of information and data. So data, information is getting digitalized. Anything which is enabling that digitalization to improve work, life, humanity, businesses, everything, capitalism, socialism together, right? Not one side of the business, but everything together is what is going to help us. And I think that combination is what is digital transformation.
Wow, that was great, Nitin. Okay, let me try to bring my the counter argument that I had. We'll bring it together. But since you mentioned Eric and you mentioned Sam Altman, I also saw one of the interviews of Sam Altman, and he has raised billions of dollars. And he says to his investors, "I don't have a business model. I don't know how I will return your money, but I am hoping that based on the money that you have given me, we will develop AI to such an extent that then that AI will create a business model for me and will help return the money for you guys." So without the business model, he is raising billions and just developing and doing more work on AI. Okay, now coming to my counter question, and that is probably inspired when Preeti asked everyone that how many of you think that Gen AI is here to stay, or how many think that it is not here to stay, and like no one raised their hand. Basically, everyone believed that Gen AI is here to stay. To some extent, I also believe it. You also talked about AI, you also talked about digital transformation, and digital is here to stay. Maybe the definition will change. But just to play the devil's advocate, is it really the case? Because at least in the 10 years of my experience, we had a lot of technological shifts every 2 or 3 years, and that technology shift, the duration of that shift is reducing. So earlier that shift, if it used to happen in like 10 years, it then got down to 5 years. Now it is every 2 years we are coming with a new buzzword. So we had robotics, we had automation, then we had metaverse, and metaverse became so big that Facebook actually changed their company name to Meta. But now we are not caring about metaverse anymore. It was AI, then now it is Gen AI. In between we had like neural networks, deep networks, and all of those things. So is it true that Gen AI is really here to stay for long, or is it that it will be there for 2 3 years and then some new technology will come up and the buzzword of Gen AI will be get replaced by that? So any probably argument with respect to uh, being on the backside of Gen AI, yes, this will continue. Maybe the definition or the naming convention will change, but Gen AI, or data will be there. Yeah, anyone, if you have a perspective on that.
Valid question, Ayush, and again, I'll keep it independent of an AI or Gen AI. If you look at any tech fact, and you mentioned quite a few of them, metaverse was one, there was blockchain, I'm talking about the big ones, right? If you think about any one of them, what made few sustain, few fade out, and few are, we are still figuring it out, right? Is the first and fundamental question that is it something which is business sustainable? Now, what does business sustainable mean? There's one thing being in the tech labs, then metaverse, maybe I can take that example because you mentioned that and we did some, everyone was elaborate. Like, in fact, it was the buzzword, right? As you mentioned, Facebook literally overnight changed their thing about being meta. So what happened there? It's an interesting case. Like, in fact, 2 years back, I was like one of the ones who was in a conference and all meta and all. So was there something wrong with the technology? Was it ahead of its time? Was it too complicated? Was it just what I think, and that's my take again, as Nitin mentioned, all these are personal take, it's not an organization take. It's like where as a business fraternity, and I'll keep all it business fraternity, it's not a personal fraternity. Maybe we did not have enough business models created around it to make it sustainable. All of you what about POC, right? Proof of concept, like simple things. Similar in a tech lab, all these tech goes through a proof of concept where something is tried out, it's like a fad, and partner does this thing, a high cycle, a curve, what they are. Most of these tech buzz and all, start with a very high, I would say hype rate. Wow, this can be done, this can be done and all. But what in quite a few cases, there's not a metaverse was one of them, that will it be a business sustainable model? Like Sunil mentioned about the huge load and compute. Similarly, a lot of these tech initiatives, there is a huge investment that's needed on tech, quote unquote tech. And all business organizations, trust me, whether it's a ExxonMobil or the shells of the world, or I would say a Flipkart or a government like ONGC, they are business first and not tech first. So all of them will dabble, but until that tech has a sustainable business model. What is sustainable business model? That the investment that they make in that tech should be able to give them basic return. That's what business model is, right? All of you understand, and I'm sure you would have done. So anything to sustain, and that goes mostly with tech, the sustainable business model in quite a few cases missing. Now, what's happening in Gen AI? That is where the business models themselves are getting challenged and reinvented, and hence it might sustain. That's I'm using the word might because who knows, like, but the first and foremost for any of these tech discussion, like all of you heard of blockchain, right? Is it died down? It is there. It is sustained in that sense. AI for that matter. There's so many of these neural networks he mentioned. For any of these tech, the fundamental is, and I'm sure why I'm telling because all of you as budding tomorrow in terms of entrepreneurs, I would say, so keep in mind that tech is never solution. Tech is the enabler. And to make it something which is sustained, the model has to be really well crafted and made it in a simple way that it can be self-sustained. You cannot have investment going in and then it's like cannot get deep well. That's the goal. And second, it has to be something which is simple, which is very difficult. I'm telling you the most difficult part in the world is to be simple. I'm just like, I don't know if you've heard this cliche word, and I'm quoting a very famous author in that. So if you can make a technology very simple for people to understand, adopt, and take in a sustainable business model, that's what will survive. And obviously, it will keep evolving. It will never be that same Gen AI. We'll have already I would say, co-pilots and all evolving. Similarly, they will. But they will keep evolving and not die out. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you. Preeti or Nitin, yeah, if you want to add anything.
I think, absolutely, I agree. I think there are a couple of things. I mean, it's like, soup here, kya hoga kal. There are 3-4 perspectives to this. So let's take the first one. Okay? Who will need it? Like, who is the most important? Chahiye ki nahi chahiye? Like this is the point. There are some who have adopted, right? Like the media technology industry or the disruptors themselves. I think they will continue to use it because they are the ones who already started, they are the ones who are disrupting, they are the ones who will evolve. So they will stay, right? Everyone uses an Amazon or anything, and they are using it, Google is using it, they're here. And they will evolve, that's one aspect. Second is, therefore, so they will evolve, will the shells of the world adopt? I don't know. How much? Don't know. But then there's another aspect. What will make them adopt? And there are many aspects to this. Now the aspects to this are like it's very complex, but let's take few things that are important. Number one, responsible. A big question mark on responsible. The human rights element, it's already creating a lot of rage across the world. I think even in Europe, there are unions that are asking, should you be using Gen AI or data and AI to the level that you are? Where do you stop the disruption? Where are my personal rights versus other? That's one. Secondly, job layoff is real. It is real. I mean, it is real, and then again, don't quote me. It's real at the level of people who are doing repetitive tasks, and that's a major part of the world as well. So, if they will go away, not everybody will therefore be the upskilled worker and kind of pick up the other end of the spectrum. So, where do these people go? Is it solved for today? No, and therefore, this is big fear and big trust gap between the big players in the market who are providing these services and the companies that are adapting it and their workforce. So there is a big, what we call the trust gap happening as well in the world. So that's the second. Third is, would people know how to use it? And therefore, at least in Accenture, there's a beautiful perspective written by our CHR. It's called workforce workers. Anybody's read it? Okay, so basically they say first is work has to be reinvented. The workforce has to be reshaped, and then you have to upskill the workers. So there are these 3 aspects of it. Yeah, this in itself is fairly complex. If you go and look at by different industries and markets and global organizations. So the 4th aspect of it, so the political play, I completely agree. The political play is going to be massive in whether this will go ahead, whether this will go 2 steps back, and who will be the player in the supply chain. And supply chains are extremely important, right? Try to make it work. And there I feel, again, we don't know how the US election will go. We do not know what will come of China. We do not know Ukraine war will go until when. We do not know if this Israel war is going to become, kind of take up entire Middle East. We also do not know India, anything could happen. What will we are on a growth trajectory, but it takes one disruption and then kaboom. So there are these multiple scenarios that will also impact. The 5th element is, like you said, the climate element is also a very big factor. Governments will also be a very big decision maker in the way the ecosystem across the world will go. So therefore, I feel localized, it will boom. And localized the disruptions in a certain aspect, which it is. I think it will go up a curve. Where it will become a question mark is how these 4 or 5 parts play out for it to make a holistic story. And I feel given the way the political scenario is running in the world, given the way human rights are becoming more active in the world, and responsible for even workforce is becoming a huge aspect, again in the manufacturing sector, supply chain, there is where it will not be able to go to the level it can, and it will have limitations. So that's again my thought, but who knows, maybe like I said, Eric solves for it. I don't think he can solve for the political scenario. That is a big play in the world, and that's real because that's a practical challenge. And then last but not the least, right? How many of you, and I think this is where brands are also being, so nobody's thinking about brands, right? Like, what happened to Meta? I mean, it lost its brand, like image so much, right? Twitter, X. How many people even feel for want to be a part of working for X? There are strong opinions. Googlers had this anti-Googlers, as well happening. So there is a lot happening to the banks of the world as well, which is also going to be an element. So people, the workforce is becoming far more vociferous and have an opinion on doing the right thing. And that is another, this new generation is questioning, which is another level of disruption that we have not estimated for, which will also be another curve. So it's interesting times, I think, but yeah, it's not going away, but I don't think it will go to where, again, this is my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for any organization. I don't think it will be the height that we're saying it is, but it will be in certain industries and localized.
Thank you. Nitin, yes. Coming to you.
Okay, thank you. So anybody heard of Perfect Storm? Watch the movie? Watch the series? No? Okay. What happened in the Perfect Storm? So a lot of different climate and weather elements have to come together to create a perfect storm, right? There are only reported few cases of perfect storms in the world because it's very, very difficult to get all those elements in place, right? So I actually take you back again to when the automobile industry, and I'm a mechanical engineer, so I think fortunately I love cars and mechanical engineering, and I love now Gen AI and AI, so I am able to probably as an analogy I can use it. So bear with me. So when the car industry was getting into the Ford was getting into the cars, right? There were massive protests in the US, right? What was the participation by at that time? Chariots, right? Horses, chariots, right? What were the labels? Right? And what was the opposite to the right? It was like chariot repairs, chariot makers, gravel producers who were laying down the gravel, and that's the kind very specific and make that go in a smooth manner. Then there were also places for horses. There were grooming centers for horses, so that kept them taken care of. So when Ford was was making the cars and all, there was a widespread kind of a thing that this is going to impact a lot of jobs. The labor is going to get impacted. The industry is going to impact it. These people become in kinds of unemployed. And the biggest fear at that time, it was being put onto the Congress at that time, and the Parliament was that this is going to lead to a lot of accidents, and casualties and fatalities will drastically increase. So that was the doomsday scenario, right? What happened? Cars, please, it took a decade or two to get the chariots out of the road, right? But it created multi-million industry, much more jobs, the entire the lifestyle of the people, the quality of living increased multifold. New industries, highways, laying roads, garages, tire industry, all the peripheral industry of automobiles started coming up with all the parts and smaller parts, and so the ecosystem entirely changed, right? So what is any kind of a newer thing, and when I am going to relate it to AI, right? Like we are right now at a very start of it, right? It's not going to create anything in the next 5 years or so, right? It's going to start it, right? In the terms of it will create its own ecosystem. many industries, many companies, even if you go back and look at the Fortune 100 companies of 20 years back, how many of them are currently in Fortune 100? Some of those companies don't exist today, right? Even in 20 years, they have gone away, right? Newer industries are coming. What was Netflix in 2007? It was like a DVD rental company. It pivoted, and today it actually originated in a way an industry which was OTT, which today you can't survive without an OTT. Right? In the cable industry and the other industry, in fact, the Bollywood or the film distribution industry is now getting threatened by OTT. Why? Because there was a disruption and intelligent people pivoted towards it and created another industry. Right. So and that was again that was possible through internet. And then in 2000 it was not realized, but in 2007 it was there. Obviously streaming with better bandwidth, broadband and bandwidth, it helped in terms of that industry. So that's the ecosystem. Today also we are talking about we are metaverse, blockchain and all. See, all of these have their value, right? And as Sayantan also pointed out, whether they were ahead of time or not, time will tell, right? But it's not that they have gone up, right? There is a renewed focus. If we get to quantum, maybe in your lifetime, I don't know about mine, but in your lifetime, you will be able to see quantum, right? Quantum with blockchain will solve an AI, right? Will solve your supply chain problems, your financial transaction problems. Today, that's the policy. We are not able to do it. And I agree with Preeti that yes, the government, governance, regulations, they will be a part and parcel of it. In fact, I have written a piece in LinkedIn about the public-private partnership in terms of the infrastructure for compute, right? If it is in the hands of a few companies, definitely the governments are not going to support it. At some point or the other, Europe has already come out with the AI safety, AI regulations. They are probably becoming strict, and Meta has decided that they will pull out of Europe, right? Similarly, OpenAI will have challenges in terms of operating out of Europe, right? India is coming out with the AI policy in terms of what will be the national AI policy in terms of investment and all. So there is a fine balance where the governments will play a role, whether it has to inhibit the innovation and growth and limit it, or whether it can become a partner in terms of making that if the guardrails are there, the safeguards are there for organizations, for public to use AI in a way which is safe, secure, but at the same time improves the efficiency and the productivity. Right. And I am also again referring to Preeti. There is definitely a lot of talks about what will be the impact on the job. Right. And somebody like you can't go again look at the camp. Right. So there's a quote, right? AI will not replace people, but people who know AI will replace it. Right. And there is a counter thought to that has been propagated by the people who are investing into AI, right? But actually, with any technology, that's the case, right? People who are working today in Amazon, where were they working before Amazon came into e-commerce? What was the option for that? It created a new industry, it created a new job. All our delivery professionals, delivery partners, right? They have got a new kind of a job because of now 10 minutes late. We can talk about there are ethical dilemmas there as well, whether it is safe or not. Right. But again, it's an ecosystem. The governments have to play their part in terms of making sure that it's not only a one-way street for a capitalist or economy, but at the same time, we have to make sure that everything which we embrace as organizations, as individuals, it is for the benefit of ourselves, for our society, for our country, and I think that's the broader objective. Sorry.
No, thank you, Nitin. Thank you for the perspective. You talked about pivot. Netflix became successful. So to make this discussion also successful, let's also pivot. We'll move to what interests more from a B school student perspective. Okay, we are talking about a lot of good things, a lot of futuristic things, a lot of nice things that are happening which will impact our future. But from a B school perspective, what should the students be doing? Because the curriculum is not being decided by them. Not all of them are very tech friendly, although most of them are using Chatterjee, but they have not studied computer engineering. They don't know how to, not necessarily most of them know how to write codes. So how will all of these digital transformation, digital growth impact our students, and what should they do in order to be successful from either, let's say, recruitment point of view, or to be successful after they join a company. And maybe I'll go in terms this time. I'll start with Sayantan. And as you add what they should do, maybe also add what they should not do. I think that sometimes becomes even more interesting than what they should not do. Because generally they get a lot of gyan with respect to ye karlo, wo karlo. But if there is anything that is a red flag, and they should probably avoid it.
I think Ayush, you just asked me to do something which I promised I will not do, which is giving Gyan. So I'll try my best to answer and also keep my promise on. So, please again, not a Gyan, and as I was saying, I've been on that side too many times, and I just don't want to bore by what. But few things, in fact, I will also take the lead from what I was speaking to, because I look at each of you playing a very prominent role in as the economy, as the resident economy that we're talking about. So each of you will be playing a key role. Now, whether as a consultant, whether as an entrepreneur, whether as an industry professional, we don't know. But what each of you would be doing is solving a business problem, a social problem in a sustainable way. Think about it. There's no whatever you would be doing. So what is the most important thing we need to be doing? And this is pure common sense. And that's something I learned of all the things that I took away. And again, I'm not demeaning anything that I learned out here. What was the most important takeaway from all the case studies, all the things that I learned, was the word common sense. And what is common sense? Is applying sense or that business grounding. And that's what a business school really teaches. So what does the Dr. Ravi Shankar was mentioned, or Dr. Tunaki, what did they, if I now reflect, obviously I'm older and know now. So same thing, if I were to just pass that on to you, what really was the fact that simple, common sense, business context in what you're solving. Now, whatever, like the content, if someone may be in healthcare, that's a very dear to their sector. What would you be solving? You will be solving about a problem of healthcare. This is an Indian example. What makes Indian healthcare? Access, affordability, quality. So if you use digital, let me take that lens. So what would each of you would looking to be doing is that how do I come up with a solution? And that solution can be digital enabled, can be not. Something which is very easily understandable in the context, which is say India. So how do people understand that? I'm not talking about, and the context is very different if you talk about US or Middle East. That's first and foremost. Second is how do you make that solution sustainable for business? Now, what does that mean? You cannot have an investment being continuously pumped. It has to have a model that can give in a capitalist more in terms of being able to make money and grow. Third is something which you can evolve. So, what does that mean for you? All of you should take it again. Sorry, I'm just going into the Gyan mode. Understand that all of you would be severely impaired that in terms of becoming dinosaurs of tomorrow. With all of us, like including us, right? So all the things that Nitin was mentioning or Preeti was mentioning, we had to be, I would say, up to be learning. And that's where the third mantra comes in. To be doing the first two that I mentioned, how do you keep evolving yourselves? So if I'm solving a problem of, say, education, if I'm solving a problem about supply chain distribution, about sanitation, and I'm using digital, how do I make myself aware what the problem is? Second is, what is the technology which works in that context? And the context is very different. And third, something which I can make it very, very, I would say, specific and in a global manner. So if I can keep these three things, I don't know if it resonates, if you can later on reflect, if you can keep these three things in a very simple, common sense manner, I'm sure all of you would not just be successful, but really thrive in all the things that you're doing. Very sure about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Preeti, if you want to ask and what students should be doing and should not be doing.
Yeah, here's my thought. And now, I don't think digital has any context in this. And this is me going back to my own college days to thinking what I went through. So the first question, and I think most of us struggle with this, is what do I want to take up? Me, what do I, and I become standard answer. Let me go for MBBs of the world. And you know why? Because you feel like rejection and you don't know what you're doing, they give you anything, you take it, and so on and so forth. Right? And life starts, that's how it starts. You're thrown there, kind of make it, you get a big name, everybody thinks, oh, hey, maybe it's one day, and life starts. Okay. My recommendation to you is sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what am I good at? And what am I good at is not a task or something, it's something that you're naturally good at. And everybody over a period of time in the schooling knows what they're good at. Right? Some people know they're very good at networking in general. It's just a skill. They have just people who are problem solvers. They just are. Some people are very good at finding what the real who to negotiate, good negotiator. Some people are very creative. Some people can write. Even in this school, I'm assuming, and I'm very sure, all of you have a very unique strength. That is yours and not anybody else. Find that. That's the first thing. If you don't know it, work towards it. Like spend mammoth amount of hours to find what is it that you're good at. That's your natural strength. And it will be one thing, two things, three things, but narrow it down to two, three. Once you narrow that down, that's my first guidance. Once you've done that, then your second thing is, okay, based on these three, what are my natural careers? And I'm now, it could be within consulting, or it could be even working for, let's say, as an entrepreneur, or working anywhere, right? Like, I want to be it, and it can be an answer, right? I want to be in a particular type of area, like for example, I want to, and then it is much supply chain, and I'm very strong analytically, so I want to be analytics in supply chain. Is our answer. Or I'm extremely good at learning new things, and I want to be a part of the social sector because it's very interesting to me to make a difference. On the social sector. Don't wait for doing 2 years of a vacancy or of 3 years having regrets coming back and then starting. Don't do that. So my second advice is that figure that out and try it. And the third is you will not know your answer. An answer is a discovery over a period of time, but you will know your strength. So what you do is you try those two, three things that you narrow it down to. And if you mean, what I feel I do really well in the something I just love, kind of calmly creating and making these, just I'm good with it. Try that. It could not work. When be that person who in that 1 year says, I quit. Don't be that person who carries on and says, चलो अब शादी के लिए एक बच्चे के लिए एक घर के लिए and carry on your life before 15 years have passed and you're a frustrated person who writes LinkedIn posts about burnout. Don't be that person. Okay, that's my third advice to you. And the fourth advice is there will be many people in your course of the journey who will tell you you're not good at many things. And regret and people who tell you you're not good at things is a part of life. Okay, but it's only when you know what you're really good at and you stick to knowing that your journey will be beautiful. Yeah, so that's my fourth advice. The fifth one is, okay, and this I keep telling the people even today, it's a very standard dialogue, but glass half full, or I would say entirely empty, is a beautiful way of being. I think many of us have forgotten what that is. Even as a stage I have, we have become so full of ourselves, hame sab aata hai. You reach that stage, and I don't know where it happens, but the transition happens somewhere. Don't become glassful. Please be curious. If you're a curious person and you want to really work at it, organizations will pick you up. And you will do well because you're curious. And the second thing is learn, and this is now the other part, learn to deal with the good is beautiful, and you get hired by 10 EVs is good, but the bad and the ugly hours, long hours that you will work, the tedious repetitive tasks you don't enjoy, well, get used to it, that's life. Okay, that's the second. But then delivering, being the person who builds credibility beyond it. You do that, you will have a career. Digital is today as a context, Geria is today as a context, 3 years from now, who knows, man, something else will be the context, but you'll survive it. You'll survive it because of who you are as a person and not because of the organization or the person sitting on the other side. I think that's my advice to you. If you do this, I think you'll have a good career ahead. In any organization, or you'll be starting a firm and maybe you'll be the next Stanford. Who knows?
Thank you, Preeti. Probably I will add something because both Sayantan and Preeti talked about something very interesting. I would probably give more nuanced specifics with respect to very short term thing. So from a consulting lens, I don't think the way hiring is done in consulting has evolved a lot, except from like sometimes being in person to moving to digital, which is through Zoom. However, the case studies that we ask also remain the same. What has changed is how you solve those case studies. So we still look for structured problem solving approach. You are able to think, you are able to solve a problem that is given to you. And if I just have to summarize all the kinds of problems into two buckets, it is either you have to increase the revenue for a company or decrease the cost for a company, which will impact your P&L. Now, there could be thousands of approaches that you solve for it. You can do it through corporate strategy, you can do it through marketing, you can do it through customer interaction, you can do it through better supply chain, better procurement, better negotiations, and all of those things. So, any problem that you pick as you are solving for a consulting cases, the structured way of problem solving remains same. How these kind of conventions, these kind of panel discussions help you is how you think solving those problems. So 50 years back, if someone has to think about promotions, they will say, okay, add a leaflet in the newspaper or give some new, put a customized some kind of a material on the newspaper. Maybe 20, 30 years back, it was TV channel. So you do some kind of advertisement on TV. Uh, Sometime back, it was Facebook. Now it is Instagram. Now you are talking about more personalized promotion. So the promotions is still evergreen. It will still continue in the future. Your problem statement that you will solve is how can you better do your promotions. The approach to solving it is what will evolve over time. And today, when you are solving a business case around promotion, you will have to probably figure out, okay, you have to use Gen AI, you will have to use digital, you will have to use all these interesting things that we have talked about today. So problem statement does not change. Approach to problem statement in how you solve that will change. From a B-school perspective, how you can think, how you can structure, makes makes us set apart from any other kind of program on the education side. So yeah, that's my take on a very short-term perspective. Nitin, I know I have to come to you with respect to what do's and don'ts we have for the students. Thinking about digital with respect to making their career.
The problem with the last person with the same question is that you have to think about what are the unique things which have not been said. Okay. So in a typical consulting side, I will probably give you a acronym. Okay. You all know VUCA, right? This is an acronym. What was the VUCA? Anybody can spell it out for me? Okay. Okay, so I will give you a VUCA for you, right? VUCA for VUCA, right? Because we are living in a VUCA world, so we have to be VUCA in order to defeat the VUCA, right? So I think, and I will try to relate it to how I have done in my journey if I go back, right? So what B is versatile, right? Be very versatile, be adaptive. I think Preeti also mentioned I am probably of the same interview that don't go with a fixated mindset, right? It doesn't. See, I'm not going to talk about what to do in terms of to prepare for getting into your placement to the organization because I'm pretty sure you all will fit the organization. I'm good for it, right? That's a given. But it really is the thing you probably know, right? It's mostly at least 50% of the cases even in our back go and look at it. He started in the same job. There are few who are still in the same job, doing the same thing, and they are doing well. There are people who pivoted a lot in the last 10, 15 years, including myself, and they are successful, right? And Sayantan and I share a very uncanny similarity in terms of our career, so we can probably agree with that. So be versatile, be open towards trying it out, experimenting it during the initial phase. That doesn't mean 6 months. Yeah, give it a year or two in terms of understanding the company. And even if you join an organization, you can actually evaluate different work within the organization. You don't have to change the organization to explore what it can offer. Right? I have stayed with KPMG for now about 16 years. And prior to KPMG, my standard tenure in an organization was 1 year. After 1 year, change the job. After 1 year, change the job. Right? But in KPMG, I have done 15 jobs in the last 15 years. Every year I have taken on something new. I have taken on something which interests me. AI I just took as you would have expected last year. As it was coming around, I went into it. So I think look for opportunities, be versatile. Right. The second is unconventional. You is unconventional. I go about a thinking nobody has thought about. Look out for unconventional ways of innovation, going into something unique, which probably people will not have thought of. Sometimes what we do is we get into a sort of process, we feel that that's something which has been going for years and is going to continue. We can't change it. Have you tried? Have you explored? Is there a better way to do it? Challenge it. Don't believe in the status quo. Everything, the last successful organizations, including the fans, have been unconventional. That's the reason they have been successful. Right? They started as an e-commerce company, they are now a cloud company. They started as a desktop company, they are now into services organization. Right? There are many examples. I will not go into details because some of them are our clients and I can't like hand names here. But you can go and read about how the fans have evolved their business model, how the top 10 companies today in the US or globally, how they have taken their businesses over the last few years. Right, in terms of being unconventional. It can be unconventional ways of working, it can be unconventional businesses, it can be unconventional supply chain, anything. Right? The C is what Preeti and Sayantan have already talked about, so I will not go into details of it, but be a continuous learner. Right? So C is your continuous learning. You have to be a lifelong learner. Right? In our firm, we say that we stay student of the firm. So we at any designation, we are not like we are directors, managers, or we always are student of the firm. Because there's so much to learn every day, and I think every kind of a domain is so much depth is there that you will, and even the GPT generative AI, we are just scratching the surface. But today you are lucky that you are living in a world where learning is at a fingertip and that is free. And most of the courses when we were on this side of the table, right, we have to spend hours and hours in the computer lab. And that too also was like a lot of people was already there, so it was becoming very difficult to learn. Right? You have now it is on your fingertips. As we are speaking, some of you are also scrolling. Right? Maybe you are I'm just being optimistic, you are looking for terms which we are using to search for those terms, but you are doing your stuff on your smartphone. Right? That is the knowledge at fingertips. You already have it. Right? And last is agile. Right? Be very quick decision maker. Time will not wait. We are living in a this is something which I don't personally like, but the reality is that we are living in a very fast-paced world. So our time to think and act is reducing. Right? We have to think very sharply. We have to act very sharply. The decisions have to be taken. You can't sit over decisions. You have to make systems also very flexible and nimble. If you are, let's say tomorrow you become a part of head of a business unit of an organization or an entrepreneur, and Simon spoke about simple, right? I think that's the word. You have to keep it simple, flexible, and nimble, so that you can be agile in terms of your decision making, your capability to take advantage of the situation, the opportunities, convert challenges into opportunities. So all those things. So I think that's Muka for you.
Thank you. Yeah, we are consultant. We always come up with acronyms and try to structure things in a nice manner. Thank you for that. Okay, before I give it to the audience, maybe it would be disservice if we don't talk about consulting industry overall. So, what do you think? And then you kind of answered it very nicely in that entire description. But what makes consulting interesting, Sayantan and Preeti? What made you stay in consulting for so long, even with changing economy, changing or evolvement of all the digitalization that is happening? What made you stay in consulting and not probably switch to one of the fan organizations?
That's a very valid question, and Ayush, I think, trust me, answer this question at least once, if not more. For anyone who joins an organization, my organization, or I mentor some of the students, is the thing that which attracts and which basically gives me the kick is when I'm solving multiple client problems. Client care sometimes social problems also. So if you have a penchant for solving those problems, being able to live in a slightly a ubiquitous word. I'm using the word very carefully. Third is thriving on sometimes uncertainty. I'm talking about the words which may try to sound black as well. And fourth, something which gives you a kick that what I did made an impact for the person in front, for the organization. If those are the four ticks that you can do on a day and week, month basis, you will thrive. And slowly you will realize that what you are doing is really what you are loving. Else you will never be. Because what made me, because a lot of people like what Nathan mentioned, like if you were to, from the same batch we started, some people joined, some people moved, and consulting, there's always a shift, people going from industry to back and all. So if what, and what has been the common thread, what I've planned, there's nothing wrong or right about the decision, are some of these four ticks, and some ticks can be bigger than one. If it really gives you the kick, and again, don't feel disheartened, oh, I didn't take any course, am I not made for it? As Preeti mentioned, who knows, you're made for something else which is much bigger, better, right? And not everyone has to be that, I would say, that square, that thing in that peg hole, this is nothing about that. That's my response.
Thank you, sir. Maybe your take, what made you stay in consulting for so long?
Only after.
So I don't have a nice answer like this. My answer is, so you want the honest answer or the consulting answer? I can be both. Okay, the honest answer is not like this. The honest answer, and that's reality. So, I think I read it on LinkedIn somewhere. I can't remember the quote where it was. It was a Sunday night. You feel depressed about Monday morning, logging into office. Then it's time to quit. I had those Monday, I had those Sunday nights where I got bad about Monday, but there were not so many. I think that defines the organization and what's an organization. It's not a logo or anything. It's who you work with, your images. I mean, there's nothing, when you go senior, there's no one person you work with. So there's like this, you can call it like a union, okay? So this union that of people that you work with, your ecosystem, you enjoy working with them, you have your bonds, social connections, you enjoy these get-togethers, you meet them, you interact with them, you solve problems, you do all of that. I liked it. And because I liked it, I stayed. If the day I don't feel like it, it can be any day. And I feel this feeling that I think I'm done. I think it has less to do with consulting, it has more to do with that I'm not enjoying this ecosystem of people I'm with. That's how it is for me. So the reason I stuck by not consulting with Accenture is because I really enjoy this group of people. That's one. Secondly, everyone has a certain piece that we like to work with, right? Like I call it consulting is a little bit like 169 per hour. Some people are built for it, some people are built for yoga. I'm not built for yoga. Okay, it's just not me. I would prefer boxing as a workout, but I can't do yoga. So I guess that's why it works for me, because this organization is like that, and it's like this madness. I find my sanity in it. So that's the second reason. And the third reason is the new roles you pick up. I think I've reached a stage in my, I don't know if it's a career or in my mind, where I very strongly believe in giving back. So for me, it's less about consulting, but more the CSR role I play today. I don't know how it came to me, but it is the most defining piece in Accenture for me today. So I got to colleges like this also. I mean, nobody asked me. Like, this in Accenture didn't come, and I'm doing it for them also. They wanted to come here because they are from here. But not this, but more on CSR side, education for the underprivileged. It gives joy. So I am an Accenture because of that reason. It has nothing to do with consulting. So yeah, that's the honest answer. And the fourth is, I didn't think so. I'm going to reverse engineering. I didn't think, can I go to the industry? And I just think about a day in the industry, a day job. My God, I try to think that process driven, ऐसे करो, एक ही client, एक ही भाई. I just feel like I don't think I can do that. So maybe you have to telling myself my retirement mode, but then I'm like, man, going to the retirement. Soon you'll be closer to retirement. So I don't know. Maybe one day. If I feel like yoga is better than boxing, I'll try.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll probably close by just sharing my perspective. It was very, as I mentioned in the beginning, so I wanted to do e-commerce. Unfortunately, e-commerce company used to come on day two, consulting you happened on day one. So, happened to get into consulting, but then I decided that consulting pays well. Usually, consulting is believed to have good exit opportunities. So I thought, okay, maybe 2 years I'll take my first promotion and then I will move to e-commerce. I can always do that. So that was the plan. Never thought that I was staying consulting for so long. So the plan was to take the first promotion and quit. What I found interesting about consulting was you don't have, at least in the initial few years, over time you develop bond with your respective teams, but initial few years you are working on different projects. When you are working on different projects, you are working with different people. Few people you may like to work with, few people you may not like to work with. And in consulting, I have realized that you somewhere have a choice of deciding who you want to work with over time. So over time, you decide, okay, these are the set of people that I enjoy working with, and it's vice versa. They also enjoy working with you. So it's more of a team that you form over time. You set of partners that you work with who like you like them, and you continue to work with them and solve interesting problems for your clients. Whereas in any other form of work that I have seen, you are given a manager, and that manager is the manager who will take care of you. You are working with them, so it's more of a hit or miss. If you like that manager, good, you will stay in that firm for long. If you don't like manager, you don't like that manager, you will switch. But that kind of flexibility is what you get in consulting in the initial few years, and if you happen to find the right mix of people that you like, you will stay there for long. Maybe if those things around that changes, maybe you will move later in point of time. Yes, please, sir.
So I think it would be injustice if we don't actually give you the reality of the consulting today, right? Because I think so. See, consulting industry is a fascinating industry. I have stated most of my critiques, most of the facts have stated that industry. So it's a fantastic industry to make your career, right? But what we like, the consulting industry really likes either the growth, where we are in a really good phase, right? Over the past few years, where the growth rates were quite high, industry growth rate, the GDP of the world, China, India, wherever it is, right? We love it, right? We also like recessions because that's where we also work, right? In terms of the economy is not doing well, there's a pressure. What we don't like is the situation where we are right now, where there is neither growth nor there is recession. That's where in consulting is in the limbo. This period is stagnation for us, right? We don't get too much. Our clients are confused. Nobody is spending in terms of where to go, whether we should focus on growth, whether we should focus on the cost optimization, whether we have to prepare for the recession, or whether we should go the move. But it's a very limited period. We don't see such cycles in very frequently. But I think this is the reality of the situation. So it is a cyclical industry, but like I said, unlike any other industry, our cycles are very limited, the down cycles, because we profit both in growth times and recession times. We enjoy mostly the growth times, obviously. But again, this time when there is a uncertainty, the U part of it is actually, and particularly with no biases towards politics, election time. No, that's something. If somebody has to ask us, probably we should have election after every 10 years, not even 5 years, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open it to the audience. I had one more topic, but I think given the time, let's move to audience. Any questions from the audience? Uh, should we give them the mic or?
Good evening, sir. I'm Abdul Agarwal from the private services. So my question is, considering the fact that it's Gen continues to grow like it is growing for the span of next 5 to 10 years. So what kind of impact will have on the project of the industry is doing? What kind of changes is doing?
Anyone who wants to take that turn?
I think, in fact, what you asked is actually on the mind of all of the consultants. Very top of mind. But very simple thing that we say that see when AI was there, when GenAI came. So what it provides is, I would say, structured insights. That's what it has. But it still would need a consultant, and that's where the human, when as a consultant, I'm putting as a consultant as a human, and then there's the GenAI, which is a machine enabled thing. Someone who should basically take those insights, take it in that context, and obviously tell the client what is to be done, first part, how it is to be done, and then do it further. The third part which I mentioned. That unfortunately, GenAI is still lagging as of now. I'm using the word still. Who knows what's the future? And that's where the real consulting is happening today. Not what is to be done, not how it is to be done, but doing it further. And that's where the real need is as consultant, and that's where the real kick which I mentioned about. And that's where I think the real, action also happens. Hopefully, answer. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I'm Sir, you were talking about digital transformation. So, what are the common misconceptions regarding digital transformation that we as students or individuals as young professionals we are aware of?
Nitin, you want to take that?
Okay, so if I were to rephrase, mostly the challenges with digital transformation, right? In terms of it's not hunky dory and rosy all around, right? Okay, I think I can speak more in terms of as a consultant when we go for digital transformation, and also I think mostly it is applicable for all organizations as well. Probably the work we work with definitely. So one is particularly the skill gap, right? Definitely the pace of change and the pace to execute that change, the individuals of the roles is not there. So, and I think that's applicable across any kind of, if you look at even history, any kind of a digital revolution, transformation, the rate of change and the pace of change of the technology was far than the skill to either implement it or execute it. And that's when we go and form teams from our consultants, we have shortage of those teams. Even the clients have shortage of their team who can spend time in terms of making that kind of a transformation, right? The second is the infrastructure itself, right? I think Sayantan previously talked about. So there is a lot of, there are still organizations which are using mainframes, right? It's hard to believe. Even I don't know what a mainframe looks like, right? But there are organizations, and we discover as we start working with them that there are still mainframes in use, right? So on one end we are talking about compute of GPUs, right? And on the other end we have a mainframe, right? How do you integrate a legacy system with something which is very recent, and you want to carry out a digital transformation? You can't carry it out in isolation. You can't just have it in one function and then leave the rest of the firm as separate, right? Legacy systems is a big challenge, right? The third is definitely the human part, right? Which is the change management. Big problem. But even with NAI, Preeti was talking about, most of the organizations, even if they want to implement it, even if they want, they spend the money, but if adoption is not there, the penetration is not there, the money is no return, right? You have, and how do you bring about that change? It has to be through training. You bring out the value part of it, but ultimately it's the human part. It's the behavioral change rather than anything else. So I think that's there. Then I think there's also a stronger commitment. Most of what we have seen is that if it's driven top down, it fails at the bottom. If it's bottom up, again it shades down because there is no sponsorship, right? So it has to be a very well balanced intent from the top. The leadership and the stakeholders should have vested interest in terms of driving it, and it has to be embraced by the line people or the workers or the task people who are doing that particular task. So I think these are the things which we have observed. Anything to add?
Quickly too, I think that's a very, 2 points. First of all, the difference between digitalization and digital transformation. There's a very subtle difference, but a very important. What most organizations do, and is that when they talk about digital transformation, they really automate the things they are doing. So nothing changes on the ground. Rather than it being done by a manual thing, it's done by a system. And then they expect the transformation to happen. So for the what is happen is change. But nothing will happen. Instead of like you writing on a piece of paper, you're writing it in Excel or something. First. Second is that expect that a digital transformation would happen, it will be like one big, and this is rare, I mean, I can't name clients who are really in big corporates who think that start with the digital, it will solve all my problems. When I say all my problems, one what's the problem, which is my, in terms of demand and supply problem, my workplace problem, and most importantly, in terms of what is that I am connecting in the market. That's not the way it happens. So I'm talking about that start thing. I'm sorry if I'm disappointing you. So digital transformation doesn't, I would say, being able to answer all of them. It starts when you have a very open mind that I will really look to have a clean state and transform. The word transform is a very powerful word. If I have an intent, then what I'm saying. So like what did like a simple example, what did a Kodak not do versus what did a Netflix do? If you were to take two examples, and I don't want to get into those case studies and all. That's important. And it's also important for individuals, not just corporates. Because corporates are run by individuals and right people like you. Thank you.
Any other question? Yeah, go ahead.
So, good evening. As Preeti ma'am asked, is GenAI here to stay? So, for domains like HR and marketing, of course, GenAI can help us in data analysis. But would they be able to provide solutions also in the future, or that is something humans have to still do? HR and marketing, where there is personalization and subjectivity.
It's a good question. I don't have an answer for it. That's the honest one. But now I play it. See, I think it has a big play, and I'll tell you why. GenAI by default, what does it mean, right? It's generative and it learns. It's a learning language, and there's no end to it. And that's where the challenge of restrictions are now coming in. But if you just were to look at, let's say, Amazon, and how the buying patterns is changing, or WhatsApp, which is dangerous. The other extreme. It's reading, it's listening, and everyone's listening, right? Like you talk to anybody on the phone, and then suddenly all the ads change to that. And that means that they are already reaching the clause because of those long, what is it called? The license agreement, where you say you cannot join WhatsApp or you cannot join. They already have that covered, right? And therefore you are doing. So I think, yes, you're giving them access, you're allowing organizations as a consumer in marketing, everybody will give access, they will also want it, it will also become a trend, so there will be a pressure of consumerism, and therefore there will be a high pressure to leverage GenAI more and reach out. For example, today, news articles, I think all of you see, right? Economic Times, right? And it says this is by generative AI. So it's already happening and it's already articulating beautiful messages. Is there a human intervention? Yes, maybe somebody's proofing it and saying, ready to go. But I'm not sure if proofing is also going to stay. So maybe in the future, proofing will go away. It's a rudimentary example of marketing, but I'm just saying that that's one example. From an HR standpoint, since we are in the talent and organization space, yes, talent search is one big problem we can solve. So you're just scouting, looking through profiles, which is a big task today, and you don't get the right profile, it will change. So it can help you. It can narrow it down to 5 profiles for you that are absolutely right. Has it got it right today? Will it get right? I think it can. If you train it, because it's easily trainable task, it will get it right. So will a human being still be, but it's searching for what? interact and say in the interview, yeah, I think this person is the right fit. That would still stay. The rest, I think, fairly large level of automation will come. But if you come like over a period of time, in some industries it has already come, in some industries it will be.
All right. Yeah, I think thank you so much, everyone.
On behalf of IIFT Delhi, I would like to extend a deepest gratitude to all our distinguished speakers for sharing their valuable insights. A special thank you to Preeti ma'am for providing us with insightful perspective on ChatGPT and Gen AI, specifically on enterprise reinvention. You explained complex processes in a very simplified language, making it accessible to everyone, and reminded us to focus on what we're good at in order to excel as professionals. I'd also like to extend my appreciation to Sayantan sir for breaking down what digital actually means and how digital enablement is transforming industry. Your insights on how organizations are used tech to disrupt industry one enlightening. Also, your emphasis on the use of common sense to create value and grow as a profession was refreshing and a practical takeaway for all of us. I would also like to acknowledge Nitin sir for his thoughtful contributions on the environmental impact of rising digital adoption and how tech is enabling solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems. Your focus on private-public partnerships and the combination of technologies like AI, blockchain, and quantum computing to address digital global challenges was incredible, looking forward and insightful. Thank you to thank you to our moderator, Mr. Ayush Rungta, for guiding today's discussion with such expertise. And special thanks to Snapcure for sponsoring this summit. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This section where he highlighted what we have said will also be automated in the future. Someone was taking like very laborious effort of noting down what we are saying and summarizing. So hopefully this will also get automated.
In fact, I was about to ask, you should have actually used the chat GPT advanced mode on a listen for all this meeting. It should have summarized everything which we have discussed.
So before we proceed ahead, I'd like to welcome all the esteemed speakers. We as Socrates would want to take a moment to share some exciting news. As a part of Resilient 2024, we will be releasing our yearly magazine brought to you by the team named as Chatterjee. This magazine is a collective effort which features insights about estimates, thought-provoking ideas about consulting, global business strategies, and emerging trends, including in-depth articles on the airline industry challenges, electric vehicle revolution, and much more. As a gesture of gratitude, we would like to present you with a gift hamper from IIFT and Snapcure along with the magazine. Now, as a gesture of gratitude, we would like to present you with a gift hamper from IIFT and Snapcure. Preeti ma'am. not just in adapting to change, but in mastering it through innovation. At IIFT, we believe that the future belongs to those who are bold enough to lead digital transformation, paving the way for a stronger, more resilient economy. We hope these insights inspire you to drive impactful change in the future. Have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you at the
Everyone should come to the front for one photo.
इधर फोटो खींचने तेरे को याद है मैं तो यहीं खींच रहा हूं यहीं से ऊपर से खींच मैं इधर हूं ही नहीं देख तेरे को बुलाएंगे आगे वाइब क्या बोल रहा आगे यहीं पे बैठ यहीं पे बैठ तो फोटो तो मैं टेलीग्राम पे आ गया आज ये क्या होता है ये देखिए बता रहे हैं